you know, uh, describe this one, and I would like to say this one. Okay, so here it is actually with the character. Okay, sometimes what we do without character, we describe the characters, the height of the character costume, the nature of the character. Okay, before design the character. So you can go with this as well. Yeah. And then you design a character with the basic shapes. I'll come to that. The basic shapes. What are the basics? Now you can see when you design a character, that is called a head measurement. When you decide the character's height and shapes, so when you plan for the height of the character, you actually take a measurement of your height, what is the height, and then you can create or fix a height of the your character, your story character. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. This character comes into 5.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Little bit more. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Quite tall. Here you can see this how they describe. Okay, so this is when the character is done. Then we go for concept images, like this is the concept images. You can see, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great. So this is the concept images. It is not so refined drawings. Okay, it's just a concept. To proceed further, what will be the timing, day, night, or evening? What will the mode of the light? What is the direction of the light? What is the subject? So this is concept. I'm sure when you design anything, like go for a film, storyboard, music videos, TV series, first we plan. So this is called concept. Okay, so it is all involved. Concept images. Then once the concept images is clear, then you go for a props. Okay, what will be the design of the prop? What will be the color? What are the other designs? If I want some kind of a reference, we can take reference as well. And I can share how they took the reference, of old locomotive and changed into a new design. Okay, so that is a reference. And then they got the they turn into new design, advanced design. Okay, so this is how it comes, like story, then script, and then character design, concept, behavior, nature of the character. Then you go to background or concept. Sometimes it is simultaneously working with the team, and then go for props. You can see there's another prop. Okay, so you take reference and modify those things. Okay, which is suitable. Okay, and once it is done, then you go for detail for a character expression. Okay, how we can apply this expression to our film. What are the major expression can come through story? You can identify what are the expression we need. Okay, and then once this all pre-production part, like this part all over, then we go for a storyboard, like with a script. Okay, once the scene 1, scene 2, and that continues with the detail, action, dialogue, and timing. Okay, so once your script is ready, then you figure it out. This action needs this kind of time or this kind of dialogues. Okay, so initially you can see the character is there's some character is visible. Okay, and the action is the Duke admires his reflection in gemstone. Now it's completely understanding, like there's a stone where the other people at looking himself. Okay, so the action is there. Okay, dialogue is not there because it is only without voiceover. The action is there only. Okay, and how much time it requires? 4 seconds. So what happens when you make the stories? You also finalize the timing. So in end, when you go for film, the film, if the film is 15 minutes film, so it won't exceed because it is also beneficial for the audio. Okay, when you have 4 seconds of duration, the music director or the music arranger only keeps that 4 seconds or 5 seconds max to max, so that it will be easy for editing. Okay, so the precise, very precisely they go for, with this. So once your pre-production is so precise with the time, dialogue, and proper scene, yeah, shot, then the production time will go down. Like it's not take too much time in production. Okay, so that's the benefit of having pre-production, your plan. Okay, now this is storyboard, and we can you can see this what is happening with the images. Let me bit extend so that you can see full picture. Okay, so here scene 1, scene 2, and the scene 2 continues. Okay, what are the actions is there? There's no dialogue till now. And the other scene, the cut shot, 30 seconds, 38 seconds. Okay, now you can see here one thing. There's a one drawing as well. Okay, there is a basic 3D props with a character, 2D character. Okay, so you can use your medium. It is not fixed that you have to do color or something. You can go with a rough drawing, or your props is ready, like 3D model, basic model. You can put all that screenshot as well, just to make sure your story is ready or your platform is ready to use for a production. Okay, here you can see what is going on in scene 5. That's action. Now the dialogue comes, so the dialogue is there. Timing is 5 seconds, the entire thing. The empty window, the person enters and he shows himself. Okay, now the reaction, and he took that gemstone from the girl, that lady, and he runs. So you can see what is going on with a rough sketch as well, or you can go with a final sketch. Here you can see. So this is called storyboard. You can see here it's already written down the storyboard. Okay, now this is a concept art. So you saw this is for a film. Now this is pre-production. Now I'll go a little deep in pre-production. Okay, now you understand the story. In story, you can write down the story, script. This is a synopsis of this character and background or the story. You can go for the, let me see the script here, the script. Once the script is ready, then you go for a props design, character design, and concept art. Let's go with a little bit in deep. Now, before design, now your story is ready, your script is ready. Now, when it comes to the part of drawing, so first what we have to learn. Okay, first we have to learn the form. Now I am going to play one video where it is described the formation. Okay, Just a minute.
By the end of the series, you're probably going to...
Okay, just confirm me the video is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
The
visible.
audio is there.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, great. So I'll explain in between as well. Okay. So first thing is that it shows.
get sick of hearing this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. You are going to start thinking in terms of what you know and not just what you see. And of all the aspects of drawing, I think shape and form are some of the biggest mental adjustments that you're going to have to make when you start drawing from your imagination. So that's why we're going to start off by talking about form. Because after all, depending on how you were taught, it is extremely likely that you're used to just looking at an object in front of you, starting with its outline even, seeing it in terms of two-dimensional shape, and recording what you see. And this all works great until I take away your reference, and then you're out of luck. So the first change that has to happen is to learn to change the way you see form. In fact, to see form instead of shape. And when I use those words, when I say form, I mean three-dimensional object. When I say shape, I mean a two-dimensional shape. So you're going to be seeing an object and then simplifying it in a way that makes it easier to store in your memory. Sort of like putting a bunch of computer files into a zip folder. They're compressed. And then when it comes to moving them around your computer, it's just a little bit easier. Well, when it comes to recording shapes into your mind, the way that I recommend you do this is by simplifying it into geometric forms that you can easily remember. So this means that you are gonna see past that contour. Don't be tricked by the silhouette. Instead, think of it as masses. In fact, I like to think of it as building an object out of like children's blocks. You know those little painted wooden toys? Well, what is the closest approximation of the complicated form in front of you that you could build out of wooden children's blocks? This is going to give you that mental breakdown, that simplification that you can then envision in terms of 3D. It's no longer a 2D silhouette shape. It is an object. You could hold it in your hands. In fact, if I were to think about this object as simple forms stacked, then if I were to get rid of my reference, it actually wouldn't be so hard to reproduce. Now, I might not be able to remember the tiny little details, but I could probably reproduce the major shapes without too much trouble. So what am I doing here exactly? I'm using all the normal drawing skills that I know. I'm just approaching the sort of groundwork for the problem with a different mindset. Now, of course, this is not a finished drawing at this point. I still need to go ahead and add all the details that turn this from a basic shell into a recognizable object. But that part's not so different. That's just like normal drawing. Adding details is sort of like polish. The game changer here, though, is the way you think about this underlying structure. It's the departure from thinking in terms of copying or recording and focusing on understanding. It's thinking about building instead of just drawing. Because once I can think about an object as a collection of simple shapes, then I can begin to mentally change aspects of it, or even invent completely new ones from my mind's eye, because I'm not limited to just copying. So for instance, if I were to draw the same sort of basic shell here, and then get rid of the reference, I could add imaginary polish on top of this structure, thereby making each one of these different. Now the cool part is that they're not only different from one another, they're also different from the real world object that I was using as my reference. This is huge. I'm going to stop a minute just to let this settle in. What I've come up with here is not copied. I have an aspect of referenced observational drawing, but what the final result is imaginary. It's changed from a process of drawing what I see to drawing what I understand or what I know. And hopefully you can see how much more flexible this mindset is. Now, yes, on one hand, it is radically different than the way you were taught because you're working sort of from inside out instead of just carefully recording angles. But on the other hand, all the technical stuff is familiar territory. And then if this is true, why don't you go on to reconsider the way you do your observational drawing process? For instance, if I were to draw this bust of Beethoven, you know how the traditional way goes. I analyze the shape and I get a nice silhouette. And it would take some time and some measuring, but eventually I'd end up with a pretty good drawing of Beethoven. But what if I wanted to use this as an opportunity to practice thinking about form, to practice building Beethoven? I can. Even though this is technically observational drawing, I can practice the exact same skills that I might bring to an imaginary drawing. I can start with the major forms in an abstracted way, thinking of them as kids' blocks. And then as I refine it, I get increasingly specific with the 3D shapes I'm using. And it slowly approaches a form that starts to look like the famous composer. It's a little bit more like sculpting. I'm taking simple blocks and then refining them as I go. The forms, though, and this is really important, are three-dimensional. I'm not refining the silhouette in 2D shape. That's the old way. No, I'm thinking in the new way, which is 3D forms. Now, the beauty of working this way is that I'm achieving two goals simultaneously. First, I'm improving my observational drawing. If I keep at this, it's going to end up looking like a pretty nice drawing of Beethoven. But I'm also drawing in the exact same way that I would if I didn't have reference at all. So in a very real sense, I'm practicing drawing from my imagination. Now, don't get me wrong, it takes a while to wrap your head around this. Because when you draw this way from observation, you're not drawing what you see, or at least you're not doing it directly. You are seeing a real shape, which your brain then sort of translates into simple 3D forms. And then you draw these imaginary 3D forms. Well, that's pretty different than just drawing what you see. But the benefits of this mindset start becoming extremely obvious once you're drawing other subjects, imaginary subjects. I mean really imaginary subjects. So let's roll this drawing back a bit and say really what I wanted to draw was a sci-fi character. Well, I don't happen to have a statue of a sci-fi character in my house. So if all I knew how to do was to reproduce what I saw, then I'd be out of luck. But we're not drawing what we see. We're drawing what we know. So I can use that same wooden block technique to start massing out a form based on my experiences. I know some general things about human heads. Maybe I even use Beethoven as some general reference. And I'm following that same set of rules. But this mindset allows me to end up with a shape that no one has seen before. A shape that might be similar to my reference in certain ways, but is definitely not copying my reference. So let's pause a minute here and think about the implications of this. Drawing imaginary form is not some burst of inspiration on a blank canvas. Instead, it's a repeatable process. I'm taking my life experiences, my mental shape library, and photo reference and all other kind of outside resources, and I'm letting all of that help combine into drawing what I know. I'm using tricks like breaking the form down into geometric shapes. That's an example of a repeatable process that's not really very hard, it's just a different way of thinking about it. So let's bring it back to the misconception that I raised in the introduction, that drawing from your imagination is some secret skill that has nothing to do with traditional drawing. Well, as you can see, 90% of the skills that I'm using here are exactly the same. All I'm doing is changing my mindset. The other misconception is that drawing from your imagination happens in a vacuum. Not at all. Let's say what I wanted to draw was a communications array. Well, I don't have.
Okay, so before going to that section, let's first summarize what has happened. Okay, so here what we are understanding that we took to create something new, we need a reference. It's always okay. So sometimes what happens when we think that we want to create something different and new, and we don't take references, then it is really difficult to create something. So whenever you want to create some character, some background, or some props, any objects, we collect the images, or we collect we take photographs, we can go manually outside and we can take references with the photographs. But after that, how we look at that photograph is more important. For example, in this cup, you can see we can see the entire cup, right? But how to draw this cup in a two manner? Like one is this: you only can draw first outline, okay, and then we figure it out what is the actual volume of this object, right? So what happens here? You go in a little bit of in deep, that yes, I create that object and replicate it, and later on you go for you visualize this shapes. What is the actual shape of the object? Okay, so this is the shape, and then once it is over, you can go for I think the other modifications. Let's check. Here. Yeah. So what happens here? This is the actual design. You just create or duplicate this design, and then you modify this as per your requirement, and you can create something new. Okay, so doing pre-production or creating something is not a very rocket science. It's very simple. The thing is that you collect some pictures, take references, do it, duplicate it, and you modify that or create that out of that original picture. What I can come out with, what I can create something new with the reference of original image. Okay, so that is very clear. And then in the similar way, here it's a very essential that it shows. Just a minute. It shows that you can have a small image. Here what you can do, if you want to replicate your friend's character, you can take the image, change into the basic shapes, and later you can modify into something like this kind of thing, right, as an astronaut. But you can see here what he has done is taking a very
आप लोग हाँ बोल जाएंगे डैडी की बाकी मेरा सेविंग ले ला
turn off the audio.
All of you please switch off your mic.
I request all of
Okay,
you please switch off
fine.
your mic.
Yes. Yeah, guys. So be focus on that, so that it is very essential part here. So you can see this is first it was just an outline initially, right? 1 minute. Here it was just a, you can see, just a outline to understand the shape or the form. Then it modified into a volume, creating a volume. Okay, and then you modify into some other character. You can build an other character. Okay, so design a character is not a difficult. Only you have to know the process. Okay, but I'm not going to take it because it's the entire course the course will take the system how to do that. I'm just showing you how it is easy to create a character. Even if you don't know much into drawing, still you can make it, because that's not too much into realistic formation. It is a very basic and simple shapes. Okay, now let's go to the character. When you go for a character, I'll go with the basic shapes. Now you can see So is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Right. So you can see this, to create one character, there is a modification 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. There's a modification. Now, if you go in detail, you can see the differences between the characters 1 and 2. What happens? The horn is quite similar, but the portion of the backside of the character is bit different. Okay. Now, if the backside is bit different, here you can see the legs are different. Now, the added horns, another shape. Design of the face, ear is all, creating a different shape, and you can come up with the new characters. Right. Here you can see the difference. These two are a giraffe. But what is the difference is a major difference. So they did not change the character. They only modify the shape. They added some, a different kind of volume. Okay. And that is how the character comes, because the design, the texture of the giraffe remains same. Okay. But the shape of the giraffe will be different. Similarly, here as well, you can go with the changing on the, shape of the lion. Okay. So the body is similar. You can see the artwork of the body is similar, the anatomy of this, but the change comes into the hair. Okay. So you can create, see, you can see here the basic shapes, as he was explaining in that video, that the forms, right? So you can use your character with this kind of forms. Okay. Now the benefit of having or creating this kind of forms is, if you are, go with the games or low poly games, so this basic characters is easily, rendered, or you can import those characters, because in low poly games you need a simple and basic characters, not in a very high poly. Okay. So here you can see the shapes, different shapes. Now you can use into films, TV series, any kind of videos, documentary, or any explanation videos. You can go with this once your character or shape is ready. Okay. So you can see how easy this process is. Just you need to follow the process, and then when you come up with a final output with a color, okay. So here the color version of the character. I would like to open this one as a, okay. So this is the, basic shape, and this is the color version, final color version. Okay. And before finalizing this shape, they have gone through they have gone through this 1, 2, 3, and a few more pictures like this. You can see that. Okay. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So they just change the shapes of the character. The eyes are not finalized, the nails are not finalized, the fur was not finalized. Just they go with the shape. That you can easily do. You can modify and design or finalize your character. Then you go for a final output, which is with the colors and which is suitable for your concept or your story. So am I clear to all? Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. Now I'll go a little bit more into what other things you can do with when you design a character. So here, what else we do actually? Okay. So you can see how they create the character, right? They took the reference and they modify the little bit of, the character. So now you can see this creature, the dog, is a little bit in an angry mode, and the designer makes a more angry with the basic shapes, not into a realistic formation. Okay. So they just modify, it's like a caricature kind of, right? So you can see how they go with the very basic shapes with a little of human touch, right? And you can see that this is, the chain in its neck, and how he designed this chain in a, not in a realistic formation, but in a very basic shape. Okay. Similarly with this, how this character, overall character, is taken by the just oval shape. The ear is not visible. What the artists have done, they added the ear with a very basic shape. Okay. And that is how you can go in detail, right? So you can create this kind of character. So here you can take your friends, or you can go out, take pictures, okay, in your phone, and you can sit at home and you can design. It is not only applicable for character. You can design an object, you can design an animal, create different kind of backgrounds with a very, 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 very basic set. And later on you added values and added more drawing, more color, and you can finalize your drawing. So I can go with this. You can see as basic as possible. This is the fun of the design. When you go for pre-production, this is the fun part. When you come with the different shapes, different characters, this is the most fun part, and I like that most. It is very, easy and very, very, engaging things. Like you can discuss with your friends, you can colleagues, and you can teammates. Okay. Here you can add some expression with the basic shapes. However you want. Yes, so I'm sure you got the idea. Okay, so this is how you can design a character. Okay. Now, once the character is done, or any character, like it can be a not character. Can you mute that person? Like, okay, fine. So when your drawing is over or color is over, when you go for a final design, I will show you how I design one final output. So I took this, I create this character with reference of this character. Okay. So what I have done, I took this photographs because I need one character like this. So my character is hen. Okay. In my story, I need hen. So I figure out, I select this image. Okay. Once I select this image, I did not copy exact. What I did, modify a basic version of the character. So what I have done here is I took the face and eyes a bit, smaller. I increase the size of this part of the head. Here it is different. Here it is totally different. Okay. Now here the feathers are very long. I took only 3 feathers. So what happens here? You reduce the amount of work, but as well as it is so funny and so interesting. In go for details, you can see the fold and the added version. Okay. And I put this wing because here you cannot see the wing. So I add this one. So it will be easy to design. Now I'll go in detail. So once your character is ready in a sketch version, you can put a basic, I'll go with this. So you create a basic color. Take a reference of this character and I put the basic color of this. Okay. And put it a similar texture here, but the shape of the leg is different. Okay. Very basic. And I do the design. I take the design. Design can be, taken. I have taken a little bit of this and I added this. Okay. Then I go more into detail. So here you can see, if I increase the size, you can see I have just put a very, very simple color, just a brush, not in detail. You can see that a very basic rough drawings or paintings, not go into much detail initially. Once my color is finalized, shape and color is design is finalized, then I go for a more detail. You can see here the detail is coming and you can see the detail of the eyes, detail in this. Now I put texture also because the texture here you can see the texture is there, right? I put add the texture, right? And once the texture is done, one more thing is very important. I added this one. Okay, now why I added this one, I want to say that story. Now in the drawing, there is no cut mark. Okay, even when I feel the color, there is no cut mark. Okay, but when I go for detail, I added a cut mark on this part. What it shows is basically, this shows a character of the head. Now this character, either it is a struggling character, somewhere it's he or she has a fought with some other character. That's why this shows a little bit inside of the character. It means there is some story is behind. So it was not in a drawing, but it was in a story. Okay. But once I started putting all the details as per story, I added this kind of features. So your character comes with the very full-fledged and storytelling characters. Okay. So this is how you add features, or according to the story, you add features in this character. So once your character is in detail, now you put the background on this character. So what happens? Your character is ready. Now the character, where exactly the character is there, you add background with the basic details of the background. Once the background is approved, you go add more into detail with the background. Now why we go more into that? you can see this is a very basic background. Then we add a sunlight. And why sunlight? You know very well why it is sunlight, morning sunlight. Because the identity of that hen or cock. So the identity of that character, we all know it is, in the morning when, he shouts and wake up everybody. Okay. So that's why we cannot put this character on top of the tree. We cannot put top of the building, right? Or not in a night scene. What we can do is relevant to the character. The background should relevant to the character. Until or unless you have some specific story, that is a different. If your story tells that it can be a very early morning and 4 o'clock, then the scenario, the background will be different. Okay. So my story is actually in the morning, in the sunlight. Okay. So I add this background, but now my character is final. Now my background is going into detail. Detail sunlight, then put this kind of grass, detail into grass, added a little bit of air with this kind of thing. I don't know how many of have experienced this kind of grass or field, but I have experienced, and that's a beautiful, place, this kind of grounds. Okay, now you can see how we come up with a basic character with a final output. So is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Great. So now you see
I have a
how
question.
sorry?
I have one question. I mean, if it is morning light, pardon me, I'm asking out of my curiosity.
Yes, yes.
Why there is no shadow of the figure on the ground?
Okay. So what happens? We put the shadow, but the shadow or not in because we highlighted the character the most. We just put on a focus the character. The shadow here it comes, but on a grass. Okay. And
Okay, thank
rest
you.
of the shadow covered, rest of the shadow covered by this front grass.
Okay. Thank you very much. Continue, please.
So, and then you can go into more detail, like, okay, you can add more dark shadow, how the light is there, how much is the, amount of the light, that depends. Okay. So here you come with the basic this is the pre-production part of the pre-production, when you add some characters with the background. Now let's go with the background. Now the character part is done, like you have a story and then you go for finding the characters as per your story need. When you find the characters, you draw the characters with the basic shapes, then you go with the costume, color, and then you add the background. But now let's go to the background. What we do when we do the background, then comes the perspective to add a background. Okay, now I'll go with the perspective in little detail, but before that I just want to explain one more thing. When you go for your character or background, so first thing you need to remember what kind of a background you have. So some background have clear cut perspective, some background don't have the clear cut of perspective. So the confusion will come later on. If there is a background of forest, or where there's no plan, something is not planned kind of thing, like in forest, a village or slum area. Okay, how to handle those kind of things with a perspective. Okay, now perspective comes in a place where you can go with the it actually give you the clarity how we can go with it. Okay, so I'll show you what is the perspective is. Now you can see this is a image of a kitchen. Okay, this is a very rough drawing, and you can see there's a point, and in this point you can see some lines are there. Okay, I will come to that, how to use this perspective. Okay, now this is a kitchen. Okay, let me open this into here. Yeah. Okay. Now, how to use perspective and how to understand what the perspective actually figure it out. Now, this is the image. So let's go with the what is the perspective. I'll go with a bit of drawing. So what I'll do is to understand perspective. First, we can see there's a line in between. So we called it you can see right. So for perspective, initially we need the first thing we need is a horizon. Okay. Now what is horizon? So horizon is basically the end part of the eye level. Means you cannot see beyond horizon, or it's a when you go to the near beach, like I used to go in Mumbai every day, almost every day. So here you can see there's a sky and the water. There's a line. That's called horizon, because after that horizon you cannot see anything. Okay, so that's the eye level. Okay, so this is the horizon. Why it's important? Because that is the formation of your surroundings. Now you can measure your background, or you can measure your perspective through that horizon. Once the horizon is done, then you get the vanishing point. Vanishing point. Okay. So what is vanishing point? The point where every object go and vanish. Okay, I'll show you how. Okay. So let's draw this. So first I'll take a horizon. So this is the horizon. Okay. Once the horizon is there, I can go with the vanishing point. Why we need vanishing point? Okay, let me share why we need vanishing point. The first thing is that when you draw some object, I'll take a now if I ask you what is this, you may come with a box or square. Okay, so now this is a 2 dimension. Okay, to create 3 dimension, we need a help of perspective, and we need horizon and vanishing point. Why we need vanishing point? Let me create a 3 dimension. Even in your school, you must see this thing, like when you add this to this, click here, and I'll go with this. Then I'll go with the, to add this vanishing point, because your object, okay, when you add volume or 3 dimension, it needs a vanishing point. Okay, but now I only need this object till this part of the volume is till here. So what happens? I get the exact volume of the object. If I want to increase, I can increase as per this line. If I want to add or decrease the object shape, I can decrease the shape. Okay. So what happens? Because of this vanishing point, I have clear cut shape, how much volume I need, and what will be the shape. Okay. Rest you can remove, and your shape is ready with the exact volume. Okay, so this is a very basic and idea how to get the perspective. Now this is a 1 point perspective called this, because we have one vanishing point. So let's go and vanish once the vanishing point is done. So what we do, we have 1 point perspective. Sorry. We have 2 point perspective. And we have 3 point perspective also. Okay, I'll cover a little bit of all this. So this is 1 point perspective. 1 point perspective means we have one vanishing point. Horizon only keep one. Okay, there's a one horizon always, but the vanishing point will change. So 1 point perspective is basically you have only one vacation point, one vanishing point. Okay, now let's come to this image. Now we have horizon, and there we have a one vanishing point. With this vanishing point, this entire kitchen has been created. Okay, now let's see. This is the vanishing point, and because he needs this shape of this, sink and the kitchen part, it is easy to design this. Right? You can see from here, to create a fridge, we take this kind of reference. I'll go a little bit of detail, and okay, now it's clear. Okay, so you can see there's a one vanishing point, and he added this vanishing point, and he got this shape. Later you can remove this. We got the shape. Similarly, the parallel lines are taken from this vanishing point. Okay, here also you can see even this area of this area of the house. Okay. So this is one point. Here you add 3 dimension of this kitchen because the kitchen is in front of you, and this lines, the 3 dimension lines you can take from the one point. Okay. So this is one point. Now let's go with the, what is 2 point? Oh, one more thing. I have one more image. So that was the indoor. This is the outdoor. You can see there's a one vanishing point, and with this vanishing point, he created the entire, background. Okay. Now, when it comes to trees and cloud, sometimes the overall trees come to the perspective, but this is not a, kind of one particular shape. The tree don't have the one particular shape, right? That's why when you design forest or tree, the perspective rules comes a bit different. Okay. So this is 1 point perspective. Now it comes to 2 point. What is 2 point? Now here you can see this is a 2 point. Okay. In this 2 point, we have a 2 vanishing points, or I'll take this image. It will be easy for you. Okay. Now how it comes to 2 point? Let's take, I'll take this here. Now, first of all, we have horizon here. All right. We got the horizon. Then we have I will take this. This is our horizon. Now let's see how this design happened with the 2 point. We have 2 vanishing points. So how to get the vanishing point? We just draw one, two, three. We'll get the one vanishing point. If your drawing has one vanishing point, or first you can take a vanishing point and then you can add. Okay. So we got the vanishing point. Okay. And this side. Now this side has the another vanishing point close to this. So now we can see
Also,
we have 2 vanishing points. Okay. Wait. What I do, I'll make.
ನಾನು ನಿನಗೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ನ್ಯಾಪ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
Okay. You can see this. We have 2 vanishing points. Sorry. We have to adjust a little bit. Anyways, so now if I reduce the amount of the opacity, we can see we have 2 vanishing points. One is here, the another one is here. When you get the second vanishing point, you can see this house is added with the 2 vanishing points. Okay. So this part of the house comes with this part of the point, and this part of this side of the house comes with this vanishing point. Okay. Similarly with this, this part will come from this vanishing point. Now, When it comes to this part, your question might be like, what kind of point is going to this? How do we get this one? Okay. Now what we do in this part, here we have a straight line. Here also we get the straight line. Then what we do, we cross this like this. And once we get this cross part where this is merging two lines, we take that straight and you get the another part. Now you can decide the roof height according to this line. Okay, if your roof height will be here, so you can add from here to here. Okay, so this part of this, corner of this house, height can be decided any ways. You can decide the house height of the house. That is also depend on the image you select. But how to get the middle of this? You just take both side of the corner, add those with the cross, and then take the middle line, and you get the point. Okay, so here the perspective is like you do with this 2 points. And once the height is selected, then you again connect with this point, or if you want to create something this side, you can connect with this point. Just a minute. Okay, so this is 2 points. Okay, now to create, so first one we have a front image, then we have a cross image. Okay, now this is exterior, this is interior. Now in interior, similarly, we can see these lines come from the 2 point. Okay, this roof part, the bed, the table, everything comes from the 2 point, two side of the point. Okay, so 1 point, 2 point, and then we have a 3 point. This one, when we get the height also, you can see this line comes from the 1 point, this side of the point, the other side of the point, and the third point goes up. Now let's go, I'll explain you how to create that file. Okay, so in 1 point, you see you have a box. Okay, and you just, to get the volume, you take the reference of this 1 point. Okay, this is 1 point. Now here you can see the height and the width is, not from the point. The height is not coming from the point. So only that dimension, like 3 dimension, comes with the point, the direction, this direction. Okay, now let's go for a 2 point. Okay, so here the same box, what I'll take this line, I add it to this point, add it to this point, this point, this point. Now I can add to this point, and also I can add to this point. and then I can take a straight line. I can take the straight line. Okay, now you can see there's a point. So one point, here is one point. Here your height and width is come from nowhere, like no point is there, only the dimension, like the 3 dimension is coming from the point. Here your height is coming from nowhere, like is a parallel line. Okay, but the 2 sides come from the 2 points. Okay, now what happened when you put the 3/3, vanishing point? You have a horizon, you have 1 point here, you have 1 point here, and what I can do with the third image, I can turn off this. Let's take a horizon here. 1 point is here, 1 point is here. So I have 2 points, and then I'll take a third point somewhat here. Okay. So what I'll do first, I'll take the straight line of the height. 1 point is here. Add 2 points, this. Quite similar like this. And what the next I'll do, this is the height of the object. I will connect the object with the third point for the height. I'm sorry. I'll connect this with the height. Here. Okay, now you can see we saw the initially we have only the dimension, like third dimension, not height, width. The 3 dimension goes from 1 point. Now here only width and the 3 dimension comes from 2 different points. Here we also add the third one, as here it mentioned, like the height comes from this 3 point, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Let me clear and make it more prominent. What I'll do is, here's the third point. Okay, now I need a height of the building is till here. Okay, what I'll do, I connect this corner to this point and this corner to this point. Okay, so now the third part of this I'll add here and connect with the object, and then okay, so you can see the width from here and the height will come from this point. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can reverse as well, like I take the horizon and top, I can take two vanishing point here, one is here and the third point is here. So what I'll do, I take the height, okay, then I connect this to this point and bottom of the building from this point, okay. Once it is done, then what I'll do is connect with this and connect with this third point, okay, and I'll connect with the what I can do is and I can add, remove this, actually not this, here I connect with this, connect with the third point, connecting with this, and this connect with, sorry, so here we can see now let me reduce, remove all this. Okay, so here you can create 3 point in both sides. The horizon is up above and your third point is there. So here you can see that your, you know, your view from for the background is different. You're in the top of the building or some other building, and here you are bottom of the building, the road side or here. So what happens? The horizon will be down and the third point goes to up. And because of this 3 point, because of the vanishing point, you will get the shapes, easy shapes. Okay. So 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point where you can take your own, you know, view or your angle. Okay, so it's clear till now. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, so to design a background, now you saw the character design, go into detail with the character. When you go for a background design, you can use the perspective. Okay, So once your perspective background design is over, then you can go for a basic storyboarding. And I can show you here the film storyboard. There's a different film, and here you go with the rough storyboard or the design what you have done. You can place all this together in that panel. Okay. So this is what the pre-production part for anything like film, TV series, game, music videos, everything. Okay. Here. Okay. So here, my part is done here. Now let's. I think we can go with a question. If somebody has some kind of questions and all, we can go with this. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Dear
Okay.
students, if you have any questions, kindly ask your questions in chat, or you can open up your mic and I can ask you questions.
Anybody have any questions regarding design, Photoshop, and pre-production? Because this is a very vast subject. To go in detail, it takes a lot of time. So I go a bit faster to design and showing your perspective. Okay. So if you have any question, please, you can ask.
Pritam sir, just give them is apart from my point of view. I have one question, sir.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
how is the approach for the example from learning based on the observation point of view, sir? Because the pictures, what we have seen, right? Some pictures like hen or something, it has been like seen from a basic cock, which is like real time, real cock. Based on that only, they would have created this thing, right? So, what is your guidance on this part to the students, sir, from the
Like
live
when
observation?
live observation. Okay. So what we can do is, so first when you go for live observation, there's always come with the multiple pictures. Okay. As per what I required, I got the I select that from Google or some reference image. When you go for a real, you take multiple pictures, multiple side, take angles like front, side, 3/4 angle. So we collect that angle, and then you go with the first you go with the basic shapes, basic form, then you go and detail like what are the like cylindrical part, if it is as I already showed here that how uh, in this part. Okay, so first you go for the very rough one, and then you create multiple characters, multiple shapes. So you take multiple images. Okay, select one, take the angle of this character, different angles, and then put it into a shape. If you want to go for realistic, you can go for realistic. If you want to modify that character, you can modify with the basic shapes.
Sir, Pritam sir, I have one question regarding perspective.
Yes.
Yes, one thing, even I also come across questions from students,
Right.
just like I'm a sculptor. I mean, I studied
Okay.
painting and sculpture. So
Okay.
when we think about perspective, we think about perspective from binocular vision, which means we are looking at things from two eyes. But
Right.
for example, someone looking at things from through a camera keyhole, like holding a fisheye lens, for example.
Mm.
Right? Or camera, you're putting your camera on the ground and you're taking a kind of low angle shot.
Right.
Perspective become very deep. And also
Okay.
that I was in VFX department. Nowadays, camera is not also that important. I mean, you are creating a 3D character and you are creating perspective and camera angle in the computer.
Hmm.
In that case, perspective become very, I mean, very complex and complicated.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, when I am teaching, how do I, present my student? I mean, basic of perspective is fine. You are very nicely defined. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
asking, what do you think about this?
Okay. So what happens when you go for a perspective and when you go with the like low angle and high angle? So here the major part of the
Mm,
perspective is horizon. Okay.
mm,
The
yeah.
horizon here you can see this is a high, top angle view, right?
Mm,
This is a
mm,
top angle view and this one is a low angle view, right? So
mm,
when you go to low to high, your horizon actually comes in between.
yes.
The horizon you place as per
Mm,
your demand, as per your requirement. Okay. Now here, if I want to go more into low angle, I put my horizon low.
mm,
Okay. So, and my third point will go up, or my third point, you can come down as well, so that you can design a more compact.
mm,
Okay. So put your horizon the way you want. Here you can see the horizon is in between. That's why, it is not a top angle, not even a low angle. It's a very simple, and the horizon is in middle. You can see,
yes, yes.
right? So if you want to go in a low, so what we have to do, your horizon goes down. Okay. The moment your horizon goes down, your third point goes up. And if you want to high angle, your horizon goes up, your third point goes down. Okay. And if you want to see something from a whole, a kind of camera reflection or something, that depends on uh, put it the perspective and the area you select. Means, uh, how can I explain, like, uh, in camera, when you go with the zoom in, zoom out,
Yes, yes.
you're talking about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go for a zoom in, zoom out, okay, that actually expand your 2 points and 3 points. Okay. So what I can do is I can show you. I reduce the, okay. Let me put this
Mm,
second point here. Okay.
mm-hmm.
I put my second point here, not here, and I compact my second point here, the same horizon, and as well as I put my third point here,
Mm-hmm.
or what I can do is here. Okay. So let me take this. Okay. Now I'll remove this. The same height I'll take
Okay.
from this bottom part of the building to
Mm,
this,
mm,
and similarly this bottom part, right, a little bit
mm,
here to this. Now I
mm.
add this to this part, as well as I can add to this too.
The other part. Mm. Hmm. Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now I can.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now when you compact your 3 point,
Hmm.
the way you use your 3 point is actually, create a different design. Same place, same horizon, same object in a different, you know, uh,
Yes.
you can see like picture. You'll get the different shape.
Hmm.
Okay. So in zoom in, zoom out, you can scale up, scale down. But in camera, when the zoom in, zoom out happens, so in drawing, we use this kind of thing like 3 point perspective. The perspective we use to do that. Okay. When it comes to middle point, middle section, so you are into, middle section like eye level. Okay. And the center of the building.
Yeah.
Okay. When you go to down, when you want to go down in a low angle, you come up with a low, horizon. When you go up like this,
Hmm.
sorry.
Yes.
Okay. You can see.
Hmm.
Now here also you can compact your 2 point
Hmm.
or you can expand your 3 point, like you can spread that 3 point.
Right, sir. I mean, it's a very interesting thing. When I started, learning about digital painting, I
Right.
come from a conventional background of art, right?
Okay.
So the person who was teaching me each time refers to camera. Whatever I
Okay.
draw, is that okay? Is the zoom in? Is the zoom out? What kind of lens you have used? And everything, even detail. For example, for example, I'm drawing a landscape, not a landscape, we could call mountainscape, mountain, the far end,
Right.
middle ground,
Right.
foreground. It
Right.
defines everything in terms of camera. And
Mm.
I felt one thing very clearly that, okay, I can draw a mountainscape, but I cannot. I really struggled to imagine that, okay, I'm looking through a camera, not with naked eyes.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean,
So here, what happens in that case? So as I shared that storyboard,
mm,
okay, in storyboard, how much you want to show is actually the, part. It's not about when you design characters. Okay, that time, mostly in our field, when you go for a camera, we actually frame the uh, subject or the film. So what I can do is I'll show you that. Okay, I can show you that storytelling. Yeah. Okay. So you can see here is actually showing the camera. It's perspective, color, shape, everything is involved here. Now, this is my camera.
mm,
How much I want to show, that is also depend on when you sit with a teammate or director, producer who have a design, or cinematographer basically, they actually decide what will be the shape, what will be the angle. According to that angle, you select the perspective. Now this is a horizon is in middle. Here also the horizon is middle. Here a bit of middle, but not exactly is here. And when it comes to this, the horizon goes up because now you are in a top. Here also the horizon goes up, not in a bottom because you are in a top angle. Okay. So camera angle is different. According to the angle, you select the perspective.
exactly.
Okay. And when you know with the perspective, uh, when you draw with the perspective, it goes with that shows the camera angle. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Anyone has any question, any inquiry, anything he wants to know? Please feel free to ask.
Okay. So as someone asked before that about a software, I guess. Can you please share your selection of brushes in Photoshop? Okay, that's depend on texture, like what kind of texture you want, like selection of brushes. I actually download many brushes. Okay. So what I do in here, if I have to paint it something, okay, so I have this kind of brushes, okay, and I add more brushes. You can go and add, create new brushes, and here you can add more brushes, reset brushes, load brushes, okay, that is in a more detail. Okay, so you can get lot of brushes online, or and you can load and you can get the brushes. Okay, and then according to that, you can go for the selection of the brushes. For a rough texture, you can select this kind of thing, right? Okay, and when you go into this, you get this detail thing, right? How much you want, what is the noise, depend on a, countless, depend on that, or that also depend on the different brushes. Okay, so you select your brush according to the texture, what kind of a texture you want. Okay, that's different noisy textures. If you go with the grass and all, okay, you can make the count more here. Okay, so is it clear to that person, that student? How do you mix colors or blend colors in a drawing in Photoshop? There's a, you can select two colors. Okay, I did one mistake. Okay, there's, you can go, there's one color, you select the other color. Okay, okay, then you mix. Here we have an option called, smudge. You can smudge your colors with other color, and there's a various options to do that. Okay, for example, I have two different layers and two colors. Here's two color. Okay, then I'll take another layer, I'll select another color, I put it here. Now there's also blending option. You can blend whatever the option you want and how you want. The other way of doing it, you can change the opacity and blend, and you can select any brush, smudge, and use different kind of brushes to blend that. To smudge, select smudge, and you take one kind of a brush and you can smudge in a different way. Okay, there's a multiple way to blend colors. Okay, so is it clear? Okay, it's clear. So I can see in technical part there's a lot of ways. Okay, But I am here just giving today is understanding about pre-production. Then later on we can go in detail. Okay, how we can get the output. Any question regarding pre-production?
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
This is Ankan here.
Okay.
The question is, I would like to get a focus on the market. How is the market in Indian pre-production, Indian scenario particularly, how the market is growing?
Okay. How much, how you want the market?
I mean,
If I ask you how you want.
How do I couldn't follow you.
For example, the market is not good or market is very good.
Okay.
How much like affect you in that case?
It does affect me. If the market is good, then there is a possibility of earning better,
Right.
And the market is poor, then the market, it's poor earning also at the same time.
Right. So, and who decide the market? Can you tell me?
I mean, it's being decided by many people, There are marketing people also. There are producers also.
Okay.
Actually, okay.
Yes, actually we decide. Okay. Now, if the market is not good or market is not there, you can create a market if you want. Right?
So I'm not actually saying about that. What I'm asking is that right now, how is the market scenario in this pre-production only?
Pre-production is good.
Pre-production only.
Yes. Now the films, which department you are? You are into game or films or, which your focus is in?
I'm actually in animation and gaming also. I'm a faculty here.
Okay.
So I had these questions. I was thinking.
Okay. So market is basically improving. Okay. Now pre-production now, when it comes to YouTube channel, TV series and films, and now in Bollywood films, most of the producer and director actually sit with the pre-production people. There is a demand. And the question, another question,
so
where the demand
is, it is going.
Yes, it is going it's increasing.
Okay.
But the question is how efficient you are to deliver that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you deliver that, because that same people, same production or same director, producer actually see the result, how you can reduce their production time with your pre-production. Okay. The next project, they depend on your skill or your effort. They create the next story depend on pre-production. They don't skip that part. Okay. So today's market is going better. Okay. I cannot say about pandemic corona because that is it is not a time to judge. That's a different issue.
But then sir, again, one question is growing at this point of time. As you said that they are asking, how much output is there, and when we have seen in this market, what happens when somebody is thrown say how much you are producing, they will try to copy things out from, instead of creating, their indigenous work, they will copy things out from other places too.
Okay.
So that actually reduces the quality, in my opinion.
Right.
So how the market is, how the producers are responding to this kind of issue. It's a serious issue in production pipeline, because at the end of the day, if you are creating, no matter how much production strength you have, if you are creating a huge, copy work, the whole production makes no sense.
Right.
Isn't it?
Right.
So
Agreed.
what is the, can you throw some light on the, producers, from the producers perspective, how they are thinking at this particular area?
Okay. Yes. So let's see. In our industry, there's a people who actually give the value of pre-production. For example, Raja Mouli. Okay. And Sanjay Leela Bhansari. Okay, in Bollywood. Mani Ratnam sir, right? So if you work with them, okay, you will get the value. Okay. This kind of people who actually understand the pre-production part, and their project always, their project is always for the people, not just to make sense, to actually make sense. Okay, in animation also there's a multiple studios who actually work ethically and properly in a quality work. Okay, it depends. Initially maybe you go to a small studio or small place where this kind of behavior, like copy and paste, because their line of production is demand is like that. Okay, their platform in channels, like small channels, any new channels, they don't go for a very high quality thing. They just started a channel. Okay, so they start with a very small work. So in that small work, they don't have lot of people in their team. So what they do to reduce the time, they copy and paste. They copy and paste. But that is also an experience you get first. Okay, once you, one minute. Ha.
Yeah,
Am I
sure.
audible? Yeah. Okay. So once it is, when you go through all this, after 5 6 years, you'll get the good projects. As it is my experience. When I was in a DQ or before that, I was working with the small things, and they need this copy paste. When I work with the films, they need they were asking for a, you know, original content, original design, and all. Okay. So depend on producer and also your experience. Initially maybe you will get through the this small work or easy work or maybe difficult work in a copy paste work. After 3 4 years, you you go with the good production, huge production, and you will get freedom to do the original content.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you have one more question, perhaps.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite artist or someone to like or admire?
Okay. So as I interact with my faculty, when I was in Kolkata learning 2D animation pre-production, so my faculty's name is Rosario B. Adorable. Okay. So he is from Philippines, and he was the key animator in Tom and Jerry. So he used to teach us, and now he is a production head in Chota Bheem and many other projects. Okay. So he is my faculty, so I always follow his path.
That's very nice. And we have almost reached the ending point.
Yes.
So I would request all the students that I have shared one link for feedback form. You don't have to submit today. We have two more sessions. One on 22nd, which means day after tomorrow. Same time, I will share the link, and 24th with Pritam sir. After that, after the third session, you please upload the feedback form. All right. And also, I would like to thank Pritam sir, all the participants, Ankan sir, Harun sir, everyone present here for being here for the session. And all of you have a very nice evening ahead. All right. So we end the session here. And on 22nd, please, I request everyone, please join this webinar. And there are many more interesting things to discuss and discover. And thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to
Thank you.
the
Thank
team
you.
and the students. Yeah.
Bye.